Так, якась фігня. Диви.
Як мене кликати, виключи мікрофон.
Мікрофон? А де той мікрофон? End stream, по-перше, я нажму тоді.
Мені треба сховати 4.
А 4 не сховати. Так. А, згорнути. Так, мікрофон. Hello. 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 Good evening. Can you hear and see me? Good. So I was black. How how to flip board? Can somebody help me how to flip board? Control plus F. Control F. Okay. So I was black. It was round before the last. Played against young talent Igor Samunenkov. Decide to play King's Indian defense. H3 played. Quite popular system now. There are many systems. Also during last time it's popular bishop e2 and bishop e3. It's more or less same idea to go with bishop on a3 and not allow knight g4, but he played this and bishop e3. And well, now black has a big choice, many ideas is possible, and I played knight a6, also possible c5 now, with c5, d5, e6. Black has good contraplay in style of Benoni defense. Also, this is possible for white as well. For example, this. And now both captures are possible. I have seen something like this, but I don't know what is evaluation of this line. If knight f3, it's position of Marozzi system. Knight c6, bishop e2, bishop d7, castle. This. Rook a d1. And now it's very important that standard plan with knight d7 and knight c5 doesn't work well, because after knight d7, bishop g7 and bishop g4. And black has problem with his knight, because if knight c5, e5 is very unpleasant. If knight e5, c5, so this position is better for white. Hello. So after rook a d1, according to theory, it's better to play a4 here or rook e8. So waiting move, but not knight d7. It's very important to know. Hello, hello. I'm here. So c5 is possible. e5 immediately is possible as well. d5 usually white plays, and after a5, g4, for example. It's quite similar to the game, but now if, for example, play knight a6, knight e2, knight c5, white can play knight g3 without f3. This can be a good difference for white. And from other point of view, black can try plan knight fd7 and knight c5. I don't know how strong it is, but for example, this knight g3. And again, plan of white is h4, h5. So I played knight a6, and White has big choice. For example, Anatoly Karpov usually played here knight f3, and after e5, d takes e5, d takes e5, c5. It's possible, totally different game. And idea to take on a6. If knight b4, queen a4 is coming, it's promising position. Because if knight d3 check, white can take, and possible to take on e5, possible to play rook d1, because only move queen a6, and this endgame looks like bishop c4 instead of here bishop c4. Maybe. Maybe bishop c4 interesting. I don't know why I considered queen a4, queen b3, but bishop c4, it's also possible. Queen d1, king d1. a5. What is point of a5? If white just castle. So queen takes d1 looks natural, but king takes d1. And not so clear what to do, because if rook d8, king e2, knight c2, maybe knight takes a5. Aha, a6 for the knight. No, but okay, after a5. Maybe here a5. Because immediately a5 I can play this, and so maybe this, and now a5. No, but okay, for example, a3, knight a6, king e2. It looks like promising for white. b4 is coming. If knight d7, b4. Okay, so this is favorite line of Karpov. Of course, knight b4 is not only move. There are other moves, but okay, Igor Samunenkov played g4. And now queen e7 and knight d7. Here. Hola. Okay, a3. Knight c6, knight d5 is possible. Okay, maybe this is not so clear. Knight d5, takes, rook d8, something like this. Queen e2. Anyway, it looks better for white. Maybe black has some contraplay. I don't know. Also, okay, maybe other moves are possible, like b6, for example. But now, even this is possible to consider. But bishop a6, probably queen takes d1. It's not precise. and then bishop takes a6. So probably after b6, white should take, and bishop c4, something like this. The idea to prepare knight takes e5. So for example, if knight takes c5, bishop takes c5, knight takes e5. What is this? Maybe it's better for white, but okay, we can continue a little bit. Even this, and bishop b7. Yes, okay, so this is a choice of Anatoly Karpov. Of course, black can play probably c6 firstly. Why not? Maybe c6 is more precise. Yeah, but okay, after c6, white can play knight d2. Quite standard plan. If e5, d5 is coming. And now knight c5, b4. And white is ready to play g4. Okay, but my opponent chose g4. Now black has choice. e5 or c5. If c5, d5, e6, I think black has enough contraplay in style of Benoni defense, but after c5, in my opinion, more promising to play knight e2. The idea c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c5, bishop g2, and then castle. This version of Marozzi system looks like quite promising for white because knight on c5 is worse than knight on c6. Okay, maybe knight b4 is possible, bishop g2, knight c6, castle, but this position looks like more promising for white. So I played e5, d5, knight c5, f3. So he doesn't want to have bishop on g2 because he has planned f3, knight e2, knight g3 to prepare attack. Bishop can be useful on diagonal f1, a6. Fine, b4 can be considered like threat. And he played queen d2. Probably knight g2 is a reasonable alternative to prepare knight g3. Without, as soon as possible. Queen d2 he played. Queen c2, where? Here queen c2. I'm not claiming that this is bad, but okay, a5. So I can try to utilize queen and c2. Yes. And then rook c8 is coming. Okay, so he played f3, quite natural move. a5, queen d2, also natural move. Also knight g2 is possible. c6 I played. Okay, it's not forced and totally possible. It's knight e8, for example, to prepare f5, but it's question how strong it is, for example. This f5. So white has big space advantage, and where is my contraplay? It's quite typical plan for white. It can be considered, for example, also here. If knight e8, b4. If knight d7, h4. If f5, g5. If a5, a3. Again, black has problem with space and not so easy to demonstrate something concrete for black. So I played c6. Okay, maybe other moves. Okay, also here maybe. This is more or less standard idea. I'm not sure that this is so good. Oh, this is better to do it with pawn on a5, for example, in this version. Something like this is possible. But okay, I started with knight a6, a5, queen d2, c6. Okay, I'm trying to create some contraplay because white plan is quite clear. So knight e2, knight g3, h4, h4. Knight e2, knight g3, important not allow black to play h5. For example, black plays bishop, knight e8, knight e8, I explained it already, that the typical reaction can be h4, f5, g5. White has quite big space advantage, so it's problem to see where is contraplay for black. So I played c6. Better to take pawn or play f4. Here. Okay, if f4, bishop f2 and position is closed, black is totally without contraplay. So more practical chances black has after taking the pawns. There is probably bishop g4, something like this. Somewhere rook f4 can be idea. So Certainly f4 is a positional blunder, but I'm not sure that even here black has enough contraplay, for example, after bishop h3. But at least it is possible to consider some ideas like takes. Okay, maybe white can take with knight, but now rook e4, something like this. But anyway, I'm not sure that this is correct. White has exchange up. Knight c3 is protected. Yeah, okay, if g5, g4, it's another story, but now white pawn is on g5. So I played c6. Of course, white can try to win the pawn, so just take castle, for example. It's totally possible plan. During the game, I had hopes that I will have compensation, but it's not so obvious at least. If queen b6, for example, knight a4 is possible, because this is knight b3 check is good for black. So this was also possible. How I would play here, I don't know. Okay, knight b7. Okay, c5 is possible, but after knight e6, knight d4, yes, maybe, but not so clear if this kind of compensation. Yes, knight c6, but okay, knight b7. White can play c5 or just continue his standard plan. Just play this, and then knight g3, h4, h5. Anyway, position looks like promising for white. Ah, after knight e2, bishop e6, knight g3, queen c7. Okay, maybe. Yeah, black has some contraplay, but g4, g5, h4 is coming. Now knight b6. Okay, it's not so clear, yes. But also c5 is possible. d5. Maybe. If c6, d4 is coming, so if knight d5 takes, start with queen. Yes, maybe knight b7 is the best, but I don't know if position is really good for black. But probably this is nice bishops, yes. Okay, my opponent played knight g2, quite natural move, so he doesn't want to take any pawns, he just wants to continue his plan. So knight goes to g3, h5 is possible, or after this h5, bishop g5. It's quite unpleasant. And now g takes h5 is unpleasant threat. If queen goes somewhere, for example, queen b6, knight g3 is also maybe not so stupid. Maybe this is idea, queen b6. Because if knight g3, knight h7. It's quite similar to Zemish system, which Garry Kasparov played against me. I mean this line. f3, castle, bishop e3, e5, knight e2, c6, queen d2, knight bd7, d5, takes, a6, g4, h5, h3, b5, bishop g5. This line. Queen a5, knight d1, b4, knight g3, knight h7. Now bishop e7 was possible, but I took on h5 and we agreed to draw. Draw was this one. But bishop e7 was possible. Important that after h4, okay, but we just play draw. After h4, important to play knight e2. Bishop takes h4, black has compensation after f6. Knight e2, knight c5. But, so knight e2 is strong, and here, according to modern computers, white is better. What was preparation of Kasparov? I don't know. It's much better to ask him, because surely he analyzed this position, because he played very quickly. Yes, knight c5, knight b3, there is idea, but question how strong it is. White can play even knight c1 if they want. Okay, maybe something like this was planned by Garry Kasparov. I don't know what is evaluation of this position. But at least bishop f6, black has some contraplay. Okay, so now what we have, so probably here h5 was more precise instead of bishop d7. Bishop g5, queen b6. Yes, why not? Bishop f6 and g takes h5 is hardly good because black can just play king g7 to prepare rook h8. If knight b5, knight takes e4 is possible to consider. I don't know if it's correct, but at least like interesting idea. Check, check. Maybe white is better, however. But at least black has maybe e4, knight takes e4. Okay, after knight b5, probably black has no obligation to play in so sharp styles. Probably there are other moves, but if not take on e4, okay, maybe queen b6, knight ec3 was my idea, and then knight a4 is coming. But maybe now bishop takes g4 is possible. Why not? Looks like good for black. Well, bishop g4 looks like promising, so probably h5 was interesting and logical here. After queen b6, you mean here? Bishop g5, queen b6. If queen takes b2 is threat. Okay, depends what white is doing. Okay, maybe white is just castle. What to play for black? Bishop d7, king b1. a4. Well, black has counterplay. Somewhere a3, somewhere knight h7. So h5 was quite interesting alternative. But I played bishop d7, knight g3, a4, h4, queen a5. So I allowed him what he wanted. And now white can simply start his attack. He played g5. Very logical was to play h5 basically. But after h5, rook f8 was my plan. I want to play a3. h5 after knight g3. Here h. Interesting question. Aha. If bishop g5 h4. If bishop h4, knight takes e4. Interesting. I didn't consider this during the game. Maybe it's possible. But white can consider probably rook g1. And now if h4, I'm afraid that knight f5 can be strong. I'm not totally sure, but at least it's possible. Bishop h6 is threat. If king h7, queen f2, if knight h5, rook g5, but maybe. Okay, let's try. This is possible to consider. But maybe it's too much because king h8 is coming. If queen g5, rook g8. If queen takes h4, knight h7. Because of this, my choice was king h8, not king h7. h5, interesting. What else? So there is no forcing mate, fortunately for black. After queen f2, probably black can consider even rook h8, queen g2. G2. What is this? G5. Bishop h6 is coming. Black also has their resources. h5, interesting. Okay. Maybe also knight e8 is possible to prepare f6. Yeah, white has compensation. Let's say a piece down. Bishop g5, f6. I mean compensation, just castle, king b1, bishop b5, so this is long-term compensation. Yes, but I didn't play, I played a4, so now h5 was possible after rook fc8 was my plan. Now a3 is threat somehow. Of course, it's always necessary to check tactics. Even here, bishop h6 takes a3, g5. I don't know if it's possible or not. Maybe this is just a rubbish. Okay, now at least black has knight g4. Now black wins. h5 where? Here. h5 was possible. My plan was rook fc8. After queen takes h6, here h5. h5 I will take on b2. Here bishop h6. Here bishop h6 again. I can take and play a3. I hope there is no direct mate. We can check g5, of course. It's so clear how to defend. ab2. ab2 g takes f6. Where is defense against mate? Now if knight g4, just take and take. Well, it will take here and also queen e8 back. Where queen e8? In which moment? Queen takes c3 after f6. So takes take g5. Takes on a1. King f2, and what now? if you mean this position. Oh, maybe queen takes a2 is possible. Not just king g1. Okay, queen takes c3 was proposition. But what is the point? This. Maybe not so clear, this. If queen h6, this. Black has many checks. For example, if knight e2, black has idea to take on e4 with check and d4. If bishop e2, who is winning here? Also, knight takes e4 necessary to consider this idea. If f takes, queen d4 check. What this? This looks like fine for black. White attack is stopped and black has f4 knight takes f6. Black has more than enough material compensation for the queen. If queen g5, h6. Okay, but of course, it's not necessary for white to play so sharp. For example, this move is possible. Or knight d1 is possible, just idea to exchange queens and play this position. But okay, at least no mate. Also after. But my opponent played g5, and now I played knight h5. I'm not so sure this is a good choice. Okay, knight e8 is quite natural move. Because with pawn on g5, white has no such a strong attack. Because bishop h6 is never possible. So probably knight e8 objectively was better choice for me. Okay, h5 more or less forced knight. No, probably white has other moves like knight b1 or knight d1, and it's also different type of idea. But okay, if h5, knight c7. And now, probably this position is totally playable for black, but during the game, I was afraid a little bit. Because it looks like white attack can be dangerous, but big question how. If immediately takes on g6, I can consider even f takes, this idea to take on f3. Queen h2, rook f3, queen h7, king f7. Also after queen h2, a3, it's possible idea to start contraplay, if it works, of course, because necessary to check some motifs like this. I don't know, maybe it's strong. Maybe this is even winning for white, so it's always necessary to check. But after queen h2, maybe rook f3, it's better. b5 pawn sacrifice. In which variation? Okay, white can play something like rook c1, for example, but or rook b1. Okay, rook c1, but okay, I'm just after queen d2. After queen d2, where queen d2? So this type of position. Now b5 instead of rook fc8. Okay, maybe also possible. But necessary to check this line. If knight e6, knight d5 is coming. Okay, maybe it's not know what is this, but okay, knight f6 or knight e7. Some at least some threats. So probably rook fc8 is more flexible. So now if he takes, I will take with this pawn and prepare b5 or knight b5 somewhere. Especially after knight b1, I can consider knight b5. So probably my position is not bad at all after knight e8, but I am afraid some goes of attack. But maybe actually, so knight h5, it's white has no attack anymore, but of course now white is very good positionally. So he took here, now he played knight b1. Of course, many other possibilities. Knight d1 is totally possible. With same idea, but prepare knight f2. But okay, so he wants to exchange queens. Why not? queen d8 I played. Maybe queen c7 was more reasonable because from c7 queen not allowed to play long castles. Queen c7, if knight a3, now f5. Play more or less same like in the game, not allow long castle, so probably it was more logical. But I played queen d8. So, okay, it's evaluation of position. It's okay, he can just take, for example. Who will take? Anyway, rook c1 is coming. If bishop takes, rook c1 is coming. So if rook takes, probably just bishop e2 to prepare rook c1. Is it everything okay with my stream? So everybody can hear me and see me. Please write something. I need to be sure about this. Okay, good. It's not that complicated position, but looks like more promising for white, in my opinion. For example, rook g8, 6, rook c1. And now white is ready to play knight c4 probably. Okay, rook f8 for example. Knight c4. So knight takes d6 is threat now. And white is better positionally because of pawn structure. So how to improve? So take with bishop. But anyway, rook c1, knight c4 is plan for white. Knight c4 immediately b5 is possible, so I prefer to play rook c1 firstly. Knight d1 is also logical because now if queen c7, rook c1 immediately is possible. Queen d8 for bishop takes h4. Here, queen d8. It's possible, but big question how strong it is. Even if I allow bishop takes h4. For example, I can consider this. If bishop h4, I can even take bishop f2. And then take on d6. Of course, it's not only option for white, but okay, maybe queen f6, knight takes d6, b6. And black has contraplay. Okay, so what else? Queen d8. If white simply plays something like this, just ignore your threats. Okay, bishop h4, king d1. My idea to prepare knight c4. If bishop goes, I will take on h5. It's promising for white, but okay, it's not totally clear how to play with black. No, king f7. Really? If knight c4, king f7, difficult to consider seriously. But okay, what is my proposition? Knight c4 is very unpleasant threat. Rook f7, knight c4. Rook f7 natural, but knight c4 is coming. Queen f8 not possible because bishop is hanging. So white has threats to take on e5 or to take on d6. So I played queen d8. So I wanted to avoid x-ray from c1. Played knight a3, f5. Rook c8 may be possible, but after rook c8, knight c4. If bishop b5, knight takes d6 is possible. So I'm trying to do something. Gf, rook takes f6. Queen takes f6 looks like more natural, but the problem where is contraplay after bishop e2. Because white is ready to castle and king b1. Rook c8 is possible, but if rook c8, knight c4 is coming. So position doesn't look like pleasant for me. Because white has long-term trumps connected with pawn structure. So I took on f6, so my idea was to provoke bishop g5. So if bishop g5, immediately queen f8. Bishop f6, queen f6, pawn is attacked, and I'm ready to play bishop h6. That's my idea. But okay, so white can play this, and now bishop e2 is more precise. But now rook takes f3. So, so, so he played correctly. So bishop g5, it's in accuracy because queen f8. So he correctly played bishop e2. Now he is ready to play a long castle with queen f8. So with queen f8, rook, long castle, or just rook g1 is possible. Long castle looks better because if rook g1, rook f3. White has no queen a5. What is this? So now white has problem with king. Situation is not so clear probably. But okay, after queen f8, probably this. So we can consider this. Rook c8, yeah, rook c8 I played, but bishop g4, queen d8, I'm afraid, so maybe queen g6 is possible. So still complicated. Probably queen f8 was not so stupid idea at all. White, I played rook c8. My plan was to stop castle. He played bishop g5. Yes, I played rook c8. He played bishop g5. Totally possible was rook c1, but after rook c1, probably queen f8. Now I have idea rook takes f3. White can stop this with it's playable position for both. He played bishop g5 now. Now queen f8 is possible, but after queen f8 he can take. If queen takes, queen g5. So I decide to play this. But frankly speaking, I wasn't happy with my position in this moment because white can play simply knight c4, or maybe rook c1. Both on this move looks like good for white. Okay, but rook c1 maybe not so clear because queen f8, rook f3 is threat. Now rook on c1 is under bishop h6, so probably knight c4 is better. And now I'm worse, I think. Because after queen f8, white can do anything. White can already take with extra temp if compare with game. If bishop b5, for example, simply rook c1 is possible. Knight e3 is possible as well, but after knight e3 I can go back to d7. Of course, it's also good, rook c1. But why not rook c1 simply? So white is better somewhere. Tactical ideas. Knight takes d6. Or knight b6 after queen f8. But very strange. He took on f6. And it's not logical move because my rook is under the pin, so he can take it whenever he wants. So it was not logical to take immediately. But he took. Now I have choice. Even bishop f6 was possible. It's idea to take on h4 with bishop, but okay, so now maybe queen h6. Here I didn't see anything convincing for me because d6 is hanging, h5 is hanging. So I took on f6 correctly, queen g5, queen f8. Now I have excellent pieces. I was happy. And white should be extremely careful. Probably rook g1 was the best. If bishop h6, queen h5. This idea rook g5 after queen f4. Something like this. But my opponent was too optimistic. He played knight c4. And he took on h5 and now queen f4. Now it wasn't easy moment for me, but because firstly I started to calculate knight d6, knight d3 check, king f1, and looks like nothing because rook c1 check, king g2, and knight f7, very unpleasant threat. I even considered during the game queen c1 this idea. Takes, and then knight f4, knight takes h5, but unfortunately he can play even this. After this, after queen takes a1, knight f7, and this is just a mate. So rook g1 is coming. So if king g8, knight takes h6 with check. If king g7, he has rook g1. And white wins. But then, okay, I trust my intuition, so because I have so nice pieces. All my pieces in play. White rooks are not in play yet. And finally I find solution. So after queen f4, situation is already very bad for white. So rook g1 is possible, but rook g1, this trick is knight takes e4 also possible, but now white can try to defend somehow. Queen f3, for example. White has chances for survive. But knight d3, bishop takes d3, rook takes c4. And he cannot take rook because check. I had, during the game, I had advantage in time, always. So he was close to time trouble, I have much more time. So, but knight takes d6, he was optimistic, because now if rook f8 immediately, he has knight c4, and I have no time to create serious threats, because e5 is hanging. But fortunately for me, knight d3 is very strong. He cannot take because queen d2, and I'm taking everything with check. So, and now rook f8. It's very important move, and suddenly white is losing, because if he takes my knight, bishop g4 is coming. White has no defense. For example, queen g4, bishop e2, rook f3 simply. If king e1, queen g3 check, winning. This, black can simply win. It's totally winning position. It will be made or decisive material win. For example, this bishop e3, bishop c. So he played rook d1. Now, after bishop g4, he can defend. Knight f5 is coming, so the situation is not so clear. But knight takes b2 is a fine move. Not only attacking rook, but preventing knight c4 from b2. And still bishop g4 is threat, so white has no sufficient defense. If rook g1, bishop h3 always coming. So he played knight f5, but it's losing move. Okay, it's not losing move because position already losing. So now I have pleasant choice, many ways for win. Rook g1, rook g8 was good idea to prepare queen g3. If rook g1, queen c4 wins immediately. But queen c4, even nicer. So if bishop e2, I will check. Go to g line, it's not possible. So he played this, and bishop f4. It's important move to block white queen. So I want to have his queen out of place, because his defensive idea can be play f4, and at least white is not losing immediately. Okay, position looks like losing anyway, but not immediately. So bishop f4 is smart move. Now queen is totally out of play. Rook g1, white has no useful moves. If f6, I'm doing the same, so rook g1, c6 check. King f1, queen c1. He resigned because he cannot protect bishop. Queen is blocked. So king g2, I can play rook g8, of course, and then take on g1, but even more simply to play queen d2 wins immediately. So this was critical moment, so I was worse, but he took on f6, so it looks like mistake. Of course, it's not a losing move, but after bishop f6, queen takes f6, already black has very strong initiative, and it's extremely difficult to play for white in practical games. Okay, but he played queen g5, and then queen takes h5, so it's probably miscalculation, but in my opinion, it's more problem of evaluation of position, because it's very strange to play bishop f6 to give all dark squares. Yes, and then play queen g5 and queen takes h5 to go by queen, strange position, from because on h5 queen has no many moves. So in this position probably white should play something else. What exactly I don't know. Okay, probably something like this. If bishop h6 queen b4. The position looks like promising for black anyway, but probably white can fight here. Knight d3 is winning. Sorry. So this idea doesn't work. So probably after bishop f6. Okay, so queen g5, maybe it's so rook g1 maybe here. So this. If queen f4, rook g5, so something like this. Maybe here white has chances to survive. Bishop g5, queen takes g5, so queen f6 is possible, but okay, queen f6, white can consider knight c4 already. Bishop e3, it's possible. Of course, position looks like very promising for black, but at least white is not losing by force, like in the game. Maybe bishop e3, but okay, bishop e3, rook will go somewhere. Maybe go even to bishop e8, queen f5 is possible. Or queen g4. Okay, queen f5 exchanging queens. This looks like good for white. So this was better. G1. Okay, now I can play bishop e8. But okay, after bishop e8 he can even take. This endgame looks like better for white. So this is possible to consider, to propose draw. If queen g3, queen h6 is unpleasant somehow for white. So after queen h5, black can make draw. Or just play queen e7 for positional compensation. But okay, so another very critical moment was knight c4. So how to play? Idea. Idea to prepare rook c1. Well, very likely white is better, even much better here. Доброго вечора всім. Мирного неба над головою. Maybe I can take with bishop. But anyway, what is my threat? Rook c1, for example. If queen e7, it has even this is possible. But now knight takes e4, bishop g4. Probably it's playable, but also not sure. My idea of king takes c1 to play b5. But knight takes d6 looks like winning. Knight is very close to win. Maybe even knight f7 threat, not only knight takes c8. Of course, after bishop f4, knight takes c8. Bishop f4, knight takes c8. Bishop takes c8, and now we will see. And bishop g4. But bishop g4 takes, and queen c5 with some chances. Or queen c7, so maybe this not wins immediately, but okay, so maybe white can do something more convincing. For example, this is possible. My idea of queen c7. Queen c7, queen f6 check. Right, so the queen g6, d6 also threat. So black has no contraplay anymore. So the situation is really bad after knight c4 for me, objectively. So probably knight h5 was objectively dubious experiment. Knight e8 was correct. But okay, just an opening. For example, now white can play knight b1. Probably simply this position is better for white for positional reasons. So okay, maybe now this is possible to give a piece, but very difficult to believe that it can be correct. pawns. I want to take sad pawn. But still I have feelings that after knight c3 white should be better. Or just to play h5. It's possible. Same idea. And after rook f8, now to play knight b1. So it's quite typical idea. In this position, so white is ready to play endgame, not only wants to attack, but endgame is pleasant because white has big space advantage. But okay, maybe it's possible to defend this b5. c4. Now plan for black can be transfer somehow bishop to b6 via f8, e7, d8, b6, or knight e8, bishop f6, bishop d8. So it's more pleasant endgame for white, but a lot of fight. Also maybe if immediately knight b1, black can do the same. Play b5, not allow. But now g5 is possible. Now rook is not on. Okay, g5, knight e8. If rook c1, rook c8. Okay, but still I have feelings that it's better for white. But okay, f5, maybe some kind of contraplay. Also, white can do prophylactic moves like rook b1 to prepare bishop h6 idea that black has no a3 anymore. b5, bishop h6. White can try to start his attack. But okay, it's necessary to check. Bishop takes g7, b takes c3. b1, and then b4, but white can do something like this. If bishop b5, for example, just take, we need to try to play this position. Try to utilize passive position of bishop on g7. Bishop can be active on b6, but it's very far from here. But if played knight d1, it's quite logical to play immediately. It's not necessary to hurry with rook b1. So such a complicated position, objectively more pleasant for white, but okay, now also bishop takes g4. It's necessary to consider, at least like idea. But big question if it's correct. Even bishop b6 is possible. If rook takes d5, bishop g2, rook b5, Okay, maybe bishop g2 immediately. Bishop g2 immediately, knight f6 was my idea. Attack white pawns somehow and try to take something. Okay, it's quite late in Ukraine. I want to sleep, so thanks for your attention. Good night.